Welcome back, Sports Biz Campers. This is your host here, Christian, back with Melissa Koop from the Phoenix Suns. So, Miss Melissa, this will be broken into 4 quarters since we are in sports and entertainment. Jumping right into the first quarter, our first segment in the preseason, we'll start off with an introduction of yourself, Miss Melissa, with your name, where you're from, and where you work.
My name is Melissa Koop. I am originally from St. Paul, Minnesota, but now I work for the Phoenix Suns.
Absolutely. What is your official role with the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, I'm a business intelligence analyst at the Suns, so I get to do a lot of analytics on our ticket sales and service department.
Absolutely. And what is one aspect of working in sports do you appreciate the most?
Personally, I grew up playing sports, and so you always looked forward to that season. And so still having that interesting component to it, and each season is different. It's always going to be changing, whether the performance on the court could be good one year and bad the next year. And so each of those performances are going to provide different challenges and ultimately keep things interesting. So it's never boring.
Absolutely. And going back to your point of you initially been an athlete in sports, which ultimately led to your job now. So when you were younger, what did you initially want to do for a career?
When I was in high school, I wanted to be an actuary, so doing stats and kind of predicting whatever it may be, some event and what the consequences of it, to put simply. But what I found out kind of through college, it was hard for me to find an industry that excited me, and ultimately I want a job where I'm excited to go to work and it intrigues me, and sports is my passion. And so that's where I was able to kind of combine that quantitative mindset with my passion of sports.
Absolutely. At what point in your young career did you realize that you can mix math and sports, your love for sports, together for a career?
I honestly didn't realize it until late in the game. It wasn't until senior year of college that I got serious about, all right, what do I actually want to do with my life? What would be interesting? And that's where I figured out sports. But I didn't realize until I went to my master's program that I would be able to combine both sports and analytics, especially on the business side. I know I was a little late to the game on it, but I think as it gets more exposure, I think you'll see more and more people going into it.
Absolutely. And building off your point of getting those different experiences, what or who experiences really led into your first break into the sports industry?
I think there was 2. After undergrad, I was a research assistant at the University of Minnesota for a center called the Tucker Center, who does research on girls and women in sports. And so that was my first kind of exposure to using data and doing research within a sports related kind of topic. And then the second portion was in my master's program, where I did my master's in sports law and business, and that ultimately opened my eyes to all the different aspects within the sports industry, getting that holistic approach to how the industry works, and then being able to see, particularly my sports analytics class, was where I was like, okay, I can do something that fits exactly what I want to do. So those 2 experiences ultimately kind of pushed me into going the sports industry business intelligence route.
Elaborating off that point, was there a person in this during this time that was really influential to you, that really guided you through this experience?
Yeah, can I say 3?
As many as you want.
It will be Dr. Nicole Lavoie at the Tucker Center. I felt she very much helped me with my professionalism even in working in sports. And then at my master's program, Sam Renault, who, shout out to Sam, again, helped me a lot with my professionalism and learning how to work in the sports industry. And then my analytics professor, Daniel McIntosh, he was the one who I went to and kind of figured out what I can do with analytics and what options there are out there for me.
You mentioned earlier how you were kind of late to the game and figuring out this role for you in sports. Was there a time in your early career where you had to overcome adversity, and how did you overcome that adversity, if so?
The obstacle I faced was experience. I didn't have an internship with a sports organization. And so for how I overcame that was I leveraged the experiences I did have. And anyone out there you can take away from any experience or job that you have. You can find something that you did that will relate to what you're going to do for your next job. I overcame that by looking at the two research experiences I had and really diving deep on how did those connect with what I would be doing in my current job as a business intelligence analyst, but also even leveraging like my classwork experience and looking at, all right, how can I make the most of my education to prepare me for the job that I want to be in.
Fast forward into the job you are in now with the Phoenix Suns. If a student were to shadow you on your day-to-day, what would they see you doing?
The nice thing about my job is it changes day to day. To put simply, kind of vary from I could be in our data visualization software and creating reports and visualizations to show certain findings that we have or on different events that we put on or campaigns that we're doing. One day I could be writing code to pull data from our ticketing sources. But it also has the aspect of me working with our sales representatives or sales leaders and showing them how we can use our CRM or customer relationship management tool and how they can use it and how we can take data from that to get better insight on who we should be targeting for potential sales opportunities. I don't want to get too technical into it, but those are a couple things of what I do. And so that's what I love about my job. It is a mix of being on the computer, kind of behind the screen, but also having that interaction side as well.
What is one skill that has helped you succeed in your young professional career?
I think the ability to communicate information in different ways, because everyone is in different backgrounds. Not everyone has a mathematical background that I do. Being able to get the best insight and correct insight, but also then taking that information and being able to explain it to someone who is in sales or in marketing who doesn't speak math. And I think I joked to you earlier, like being able to speak the mathematical side, but also be able to put that into human terms.
Absolutely. And rounding off with some career advice for our high school students in the playoffs, Melissa, if you could go back and tell your high school self one piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
If I were to go back, I would tell myself to not be so timid or shy and go out there and be confident with who I am and be okay reaching out to people who are in a position that I might be interested in, just exploring those options, because ultimately we, as an adult, we were in your position at one point. And so as scary as it might seem to reach out to someone you don't know and who is much older than you, you'll realize, one, I'm not much older than most people, and then at the same time, we have so much experience and we've been there that we can ultimately relate and help you kind of see what you want to do.
Absolutely. And last piece of advice for the campers with us. After attending this Sports Biz Camp, what is the very next step a high school student should take to eventually be in a position like yours?
I would recommend informational interviews, reaching out to someone who is in a position or career that semi-interests you or a lot interests you, and whether it's looking them up on Google or LinkedIn and finding them and setting up a quick interview, and it's just kind of you getting to learn what they do in their job, and so you can see if that's something you would be interested in, is one easy way that you can do, and you don't need to apply for a job or whatever it may be. It's just reaching out to people and learning what other people do.
Rounding that off, it has been a pleasure learning what you do. Like I said, I definitely feel this will be a great opportunity for students to go into a sector that hasn't been really researched or really fully developed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, they'll definitely find value in this experience. So Chalk Talkers, campers, we have a lot more interesting industry professionals such as Ms. Melissa Koop coming up. So stay on the lookout for more content we have in regards to that. But in and off with peace and salutations from Miss Melissa.
Thanks for having me, Christian.
Absolutely. So stay tuned for more content, guys. We got a lot more coming up. Peace.